Yo, 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 what's going on, faithfuls? It's your boy Mike from the Nothing But Niners crew. And it is time, guys. Our Tuesday shows are position breakdowns. We're going to get one here to you guys. This one's going to be quick because Nick and I have debated this one already. It's going to be on the running back. So we're definitely going to break down the position. We're going to tell you guys our thoughts. We use a lot of our thoughts already in the running backs debate. You guys can go back and see that. That was from 2 weeks ago on Sunday. We saw the running backs debate desk. But this time, we're going to break it down here. We're going to go into a little bit more detail about each guy and what they did last season for those who participated. All right, before we get down to the nitty-gritty, I want to thank you guys for checking us out here on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if this is your first time here. If you are new to this, we are doing shows regularly until the draft comes, okay? So we're planning on at least 3 shows a week. We like to hit you guys with Tuesday, a position breakdown. You can go back and check out some of those. We only have like 2 positions left to do. On Thursdays, we do a 49er fan interaction show where you guys can call in and you can sound off about the 49ers. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions that you would like us to answer, you can absolutely hit us up and let us know. We have a phone number. You can text. You can send us emails, all that good stuff, all right? What we're planning on doing this Thursday is actually having a draft where you guys get to be the GM. So a person will call in. You guys make the first pick. We'll discuss it. We'll move on. And then the next person can call in, make the second pick. That's only 7 callers. It should be a lot. Actually, it's only 6 callers. Should be a lot of fun and should be quick. So you guys stay tuned for that. And then on Sundays, Nick and I usually debate each other. The debate things has kind of slowed down a little bit. That's only because there's not a lot to argue and discuss right now, but we'll keep on working on things like that, okay? So you guys make sure you are locked in for Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And in between time, we are going to be having a bunch of different NB Niners members, Nothing But Niners crew. We're all going to be doing our own little mock drafts. Right now, we are in the middle of our 1-point series. All right, tonight I'm going to be doing one after this show, my mock draft 1.2. No trades in the 1-point series. In the 2-point series, we will start doing the mock draft. So tonight is 1.2. Once we're done with all those, and we'll start incorporating trades into it. And we'll just see how things go. We're going to mix it up a little bit. Tonight, I will be the GM. So hopefully you guys like the picks. Maybe you guys hate them. As long as you're talking about them, I don't mind either way, okay? Now, hit up the website, nothingbutniners.com. You're going to see our social media platforms there, Twitter and Snapchat. Our handles are Nothing But 9ERS. You guys can also hit us up on Facebook as well as Instagram. That is Nothing But Niners, spelled all the way out. I am 49ers Mike _NF on Twitter, and my man is with me tonight as always, Nick. Welcome back, baby. 49er Faithful 365 is in the building. What's up, Nick?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Faithful, what's going on? Yeah, I was a little away out of town, visiting my kiddos in Florida, so I see people asking on the shows where I've been. Much love and support to y'all as well. But Mike and Tony been holding it down, getting at the see those mock drafts going on and everything going on. So like Mike said, man, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, I'm ready to get back at this. I won't be going away for a little while, so I'll be around.
All right. So we're going to jump into this running back breakdown here, man. I'm glad to have Nick back. Glad to see him back in the fray over here, you know. I know my man goes down there and all of a sudden he starts hating New Jersey weather, but he's going to be here for a while, man. I'm going to need him as a cameraman for a little experiment we're doing later on. So Nick's got to stick.
Yeah, we might have to go live with that. So
are you serious?
Yeah, we might have to go live with that. Let's tell everybody before we get started. So Mike says that he can punt the ball 50 yards, right?
At least, yeah. At
least 50 yards. So a lot of guys in our room are saying no way, no way, no way. Since I'm only about 20 minutes from Mike, there are times we usually meet up during the football season. Obviously, I go over there and watch the games with him. We do live shows from there. I'm going to be the cameraman. And he also says that he can throw the football on a dime at 50 yards.
It used to be a little bit longer than that, but now I know I can't do it accurately from sideline to sideline. That's 55 yards, so it's probably about 45 to 50 yards accurately. That's accurately.
Accurately. Well, I can't go throwing a football right now because of my shoulder surgery. I don't know if I'll be able to catch a football, but I will mark out the 50 yards and see if Mike can throw it to at least to in front of me, somewhere in front of me, and I will mark out the 50 yards and I will film him punting, but I think we should go live with it.
All right. Hey, look, I'm game. I got nothing to lose. Look, it wasn't just about how far I can punt the ball also. We were talking about how difficult the job is, and I was saying that I can punt high and accurately as well as I can get distance on it. So it depends on what it is that they're looking for. It shouldn't be that hard to replace punters, is what my point was. And now doing it consistently and all that, that's something different that I respect those guys a lot for. But I got to show you guys that I got skills. I know that, we right now it seems like, Scott is the rugby guy. Apparently Stefan is the tennis guy. Stewart is the soccer guy. Listen, football was my thing also. I know we got Croc, who was the DB, but I did a couple of things in school also. I didn't go college or anything like that, but I did some things in high school. So you guys are going to learn a little bit about your boy Mike.
I might be able to punt also. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. So yeah, man, I'm not opposed to going live. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be something that even if I'm messing up, people are going to be cracking up. Look, David Royce in the room already. No way, 50 yards. Okay. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? All right. Hating already. Listen, man, let's get to this breakdown. I'm glad that they like that. I wasn't even going to tell anybody. That's pretty cool that you I'm glad that they like it. So all right, I'm down now. I'm ready. I'm getting hyped.
Yeah, definitely something we got to do. Not just for our own people, but I mean our followers and fans and supporters also. Just, it's for fun. And if you guys can do it as well, send us some of your videos. Send us some of your videos and we'll post them up. Of you guys punting or throwing the ball accurately or things like that. Maybe we'll start something out of this.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I like it, man. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. And I can't do any practicing because I'll be honest with you guys. Last time I played quarterback in a pickup game, I was so sore for like the next week. So there won't be any warm-ups or anything like that at all other than what happens there on the field. So you guys get to see it all. All right, man. Let's do this running back breakdown here. Again, we debated this already, so there's not a lot to go into, but we have added Tevin Coleman, and we're going to bring up the PFF stuff. I know that people love that, and we're going to discuss it right now. The running back roster is actually pretty deep, and this is aside from the guys that we expect to be starters. The team right now has, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 running backs, not counting Juice. Hold on, let me pull that up again. My apologies for not having that ready. Here we go. So right now the team has listed Matt Breda, Tevin Coleman, Matt Days, Jerick McKinnon, Raheem Mostert, and Jeff Wilson Jr. So that's 6 running backs. And we're going to include Juice in this also, Kyle Juszczyk, just for the purposes of simplicity. He's not going to get his own position breakdown here. All right, I'll look into it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break down the running backs. And, well, actually, you know what? Let's start with Juice. Kyle Juszczyk. Nick, what were your thoughts on his performance last year? And do you think it was as good, worse, or the same as the year before? Because this is our second year with Kyle Juszczyk.
I think overall, with the running backs and stuff going down, I don't think he was game planned as much as he probably was the first year. But then you can look back at the first year and say, well, we really didn't have a quarterback either then. So, when I look at Juice, I don't look at him as a Mike Allstott, somebody who's going to come in and just bulldoze over people or, when you look at fullback, you want to think somebody who's going to get that short yardage or somebody who's just going to plow through people. When I look at Kyle Juszczyk and his versatility, I don't look at it as that. I look at it as opening up schemes throughout the offense, whether that's blocking, whether it's pass blocking, run blocking, running, wheel routes, lining up in out wide or in a slot or up as a tight end. We even had Earl Mitchell line up last year as a fullback on a goal line situation. So I don't understand that, but
they wanted a big body to try to plow through. Even though Kyle Shanahan says that he doesn't believe in just running people over, that's what the idea behind it was.
Right.
It didn't work. It did not work.
No, we got stalled right there.
Yep.
I think it was like week 3 that we did that. It was either week 3 or week 1. It was on the goal line, and we ended up passing the football in, I think. But anyway, is he okay? So last year, I think that he had a better year than he did in year 1. When it comes down to watching film of him, you don't see him much as a person who is getting a ton of receiving yards, getting a ton of rushing yards. But in the football game, he's there. He's blocking. He's lining up out wide, causing defensive matchups. He's a hell of a run blocker. There are some times that he whiffs and misses on blocks, and it's because he's going so fast and he pretty much leaves his feet at times. I'm not saying he's the most perfect fullback, because I went back, me and Mike got into this debate before about Kyle Juszczyk and how much he's being paid. And I think the reason that we're paying him so much is there were other people that wanted him. The reason that we overpaid is free agency. Free agency, you overpay for people that you want. If there's other suitors, you got to beat that contract and get your guy here if you want him. I think he fits perfectly in Kyle Shanahan's system. He blocks well with run and pass. He lines up outside. He changes momentum of the game. And what I mean by that is defensive scheming. You have to scheme for him to be able to catch out of the backfield or catch as a lineup. But yeah, I mean, I do think that he had a better year this past year. And we had no quarterback, and we had very, very minimum running backs. And the same with year one. No quarterback, but very minimal with running backs as well, because it was Carlos Hyde and Breda.
All right, so let's talk about Juice. And what did you think last year was better or this year? Which year do you think he was more productive, or
I think last year overall was better, in terms of what he did on the football field, as in how much he excelled at blocking, whether it's pass blocking, run blocking, catching some passes. I think he had more in a passing game the year before than he did in the run game. But I don't know what his numbers were from year one as an offensive weapon. But I think he did more production all around in year two.
Interesting. I'm gonna look up the numbers. I think that he had year one. I felt like he was better. I don't know why. Maybe it was because he was new, but I just felt like he was better than he was this past season. So
that could be true too, because he battled a back injury this year as well in the beginning of the season.
All right. So yeah, I mean it's very possible, but we'll see what happens, and we'll take a look and see what PFF has to say about it. Now, as far as I want to look up his numbers from the year before we got him. So what made him so tempting to the 49ers that they couldn't pass up on him? All right. So he had a run blocking grade. Now this is his last year with the Ravens. He had a run blocking grade of a 67.7. All right. He had a run grade, so when he carried the ball, of a 72.1, which is actually pretty good. He had a pass blocking grade that was considered elite or really good. I think they changed their elite status now, of a 91.1. So that was amazing. As a pass catcher, he was 71.2, and his overall offensive grade was a 75.8. Now that's what the 49ers saw before they pursued him in free agency. So then they bring him in here. They tell us, he's not just going to be a fullback. He's an OW. He's an offensive weapon. He's going to be this and that and da 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 da. So let's see how he graded out as an offensive weapon. Let's see if these numbers went up. All right. So his run blocking grade actually increased. That went to a 75.1. So that wasn't bad. His run grade went down to a 64.0. His pass blocking grade went from a 91.1, which is almost elite, to a 39.3. And his pass catching grade, that went down also from the 70s to a 65.4. And his overall offensive grade went down to a 70.4. According to PFF, this was in 2017, his first year with us. So I'm going to take a little snapshot of this. Nick, your thoughts on that? Like when you hear those numbers and you think about, like I said, us going out and going after this guy, and is that what they were looking for and everything? Do you think that? Are you surprised to hear those numbers be the way they are?
I am surprised to a point, but like I said, we were down. We really didn't have a quarterback. We had Hoyer and Beathard. We had that first year. We had Carlos Hyde and Matt Breda. There was no real run game. There was no real pass game. we can both say, even with our quarterbacks this year, even only having Jimmy for 3 games, or sorry, something popped up on my computer.
You all right over there?
Yeah, something popped up on my computer. It was saying something about WhatsApp, so I didn't know what it was. So the grades actually are surprising to me because of what he has done, but they're also not surprising to me because of the fact of what we were missing. So how much of Kyle Juszczyk's game, or Kyle Shanahan's game, was Kyle Juszczyk really implemented in without the true threats of a true running back and a true quarterback? A fullback is only as good as his quarterback, as well as his backfield.
So you're saying that we need to build better pieces around him for him to be better?
No, I'm not pertaining to say that. I don't want to say that he needs to have better talent around him to make him better. But I think it helps. It helps in the way that Kyle Shanahan calls plays or utilizes his fullback.
His overall grades definitely went up when Jimmy came in week 13 last year. He did have his worst run blocking grade. That was against the Tennessee Titans. That game was a rough one, but that was his worst run blocking grade of the season. But other than that, for the most part, his numbers went up. He had his only grade in the 90s in the passing game, but that was against Jacksonville. We used him a lot in that game as a pass catcher. Let's see. Everything else was up pretty high except the very last game of the season against the Rams. And his pass blocking grade was I can't even say the lowest, because he had a grade that was a single-digit grade. Then he had another one that was in the 20s. And then this one was a 42.8. So this was his third lowest grade of the year as far as pass blocking goes against the Rams. And that was their backups. But either way, it kind of goes to what you were saying, that he was a little bit more consistent and better overall once Jimmy came in there. So maybe there's some merit to that. All right. Now, I do want to go back and see what he did in 2018, what he did last year. But before I do, I want to take a snapshot of his grades again from when he was with the Ravens, just the overall grades. Let me just do that again so I can get it here in focus. Boom. All right. So the question was, did he improve from 2017 to 2018? His overall grade in 2017 was a 70.4. All right. And so in 2018, his overall grade was 69.3. Looks like he's been going down consistently here. I could be wrong, but looks like he's been going down consistently here. You saying that he was battling an injury? Perhaps that's why. I mean, it's also PFF, so take it for what it's worth.
Was this true?
No, because you know how I am with this stuff, man. It's all right. So coming off of last year, his overall grade was a 70.4. His pass catching grade was a 65.4. His pass blocking grade was 39.3. His run grade was a 64, and his run blocking was 75.1. So if you go to this past season, he went from a 75.1 in pass blocking to a 72.8. So that went down. His running grade when he carried the ball went from a 64 down to a 49.6. His pass blocking grade went from a 39.3 up to a 73.9. That's a huge swing. And just a little caveat, once Nick Mullins came in, the Oakland game was his second worst of the season, which is really hard to believe. But after that, it was pretty much 80s from there on out. Every grade that they had as far as pass blocking was in the 80s, except for against Denver, where it was in the 50s. So, and against the Giants, it was also in the 50s. But He definitely improved a lot when Nick Mullins came in. All right. And then
I think the whole team improved when Nick Mullins came in.
we're going to get to that. Trust me. His pass catching grade didn't really change a whole lot. He went from a 65.4 to a 65.6. And then his overall grade in 2017, he was a 70.4. He went down to a 69.3. So a little bit of a decrease, not a whole lot. So that's why it was hard for us to tell if he had which year was better for him. So, it is what it is, man. I'm not going to kill the guy for it. But let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Is Kyle Juszczyk coming back this year?
Yes.
All right. Absolutely. So we agree on that. Let's get to these other guys that are here now. Where do you think you want to start? You want to start with Matt Breda since he was here, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's start with Breda first. I mean,
all right. So the backup turned starter.
If anybody's going to get traded, it would probably be Breda. So let's start there.
All right. So the backup turned starter. He comes in here expecting to be splitting carries with Jerick McKinnon, and then McKinnon gets his injury. Doesn't pan out for the 49ers the way they wanted him to, and the team is forced to rely and call up their guy, and Matt Breda. Matt comes in, and he is doing really well. For the first 3 weeks of the season, he was leading the NFL in rushing yards, and he was a force to be reckoned with. Then he started having a couple of injuries and things like that, but he still proved his worth. The fans love him. The team loves him. Nick, what were your thoughts on Matt Breda?
What was his average yards per carry in his first 3 weeks? That's not on there on PFF?
For just the first 3 weeks, I don't know. Hold on. I'll see if I can pull that up here.
Overall, my thoughts on Matt Breda is, I mean, I've always been a Breda fan, even before last year. I really like his running style. We used to go back and forth all the time about, can he run between tackles? Can he hold up? Can he hold up? He's had some ankle injuries. Do I put all that blame on just him? No, I think it was one injury that was just continually lingered on, and I think we got rid of that problem out of the building in these staff guys that were clearing him to go back in. We did get rid of those guys. I wouldn't suspect to see that. I don't know how much of it was on him saying, I just want to go out there. I just want to go out there and play. Or was it on the coaches saying, oh, he's okay, he's taped, he's good to go, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how that works in the NFL or how it works between player, doctors or trainers or however you want to call it. But I think that if we had a Jerick McKinnon or another running back on the roster that was healthy, I think Matt Breda would have sat out longer and got his health. Go ahead.
He was averaging 91.3 yards a game through the first 3 weeks. And then after that, it went down to 39 yards, 56 yards, 61 yards, 15 yards. It just went afterwards.
It doesn't give you like yards per carry though, right? It's just 91.3.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. He did. It's really impressive though. I can tell you what the yards per carry was because he did it all.
It was like, well, I remember telling you that it was like for the first 3 or 4 weeks, it was like 8.6 or something like that. It was a ridiculous number.
I can tell you 274 divided by 32. It was only 38 and a half, 8.56.
Okay. Yeah, I just remember saying that when we were talking about Mostert and Breda, and I was just interested to see what those were. I knew it was like in the 8s the first 3 weeks because he was a leading rusher in the league for a while until Zeke caught him. And then an injury happened, and then obviously we all know that shit went downhill, as it always does. Always rolls downhill. But anyway.
Unless you're a dung beetle, baby.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that if Matt Breda if we had another guy on the team like a McKinnon, because I even think that his ankle injury happened after the Mostert broke his arm. Like they were splitting carries a little bit. I know Mostert came in for a little while to take over for Breda and then had an injury, and then Breda came back the following week, I believe. But if we had another running back who could hold the load on the team, I think Matt Breda would have sat and rested a little more. But without having that on the team, I think his mindset was probably, I can get out there. The coach's mindset was, let's get him out. Not the coach, but the training staff maybe to get cleared by Kyle Shanahan. But I think if we're stacked more and he has that type of injury, I don't think it'll be a lingering issue. I think he'll get that rest and be able to rest it up completely. We all know when we sprain or do anything to an ankle, it takes at least 4 weeks, especially a high ankle sprain. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to heal perfectly. I mean, and that's with us not being athletes playing every single day in a football season. So I like Matt Breda. I really do.
As do I. I really like the kid, and he's got a good heart, and especially because his story. You know, he's an undrafted guy. Just fighting, working his way up through the rankings and everything like that. He's super humble. I would love to talk to him one day. Maybe we'll shoot and try to get him on this year or something. But he's a great guy, and I absolutely love Matt Breda, man. So the issue is that he's often dinged up. We have to see him stay healthy. You know, we got to see him, continue to be there and be dependable for the team. And until he is, I think the 49ers are going to have some doubts about him being as involved as how the fans would want to see him involved. I'm looking at his grades here. This is PFF, man. You gotta take PFF with a grain.
Hey, Mike, before we keep going, I just want to say that Matt Mayoko tweeted out and said that all offensive and defensive pass interference calls and non-calls can now be challenged.
And non-calls.
And non-calls can now be challenged. You still
well,
have
good. They should absolutely be challenging the calls that are made, because sometimes it's just ridiculous that, they were called and there was no contact. So that's good.
Yeah. And also the preseason schedule has not been set, but the 49ers and Broncos will play as usual. The teams plan to hold joint practices at the Broncos training complex. So a little bit of football news there.
Yeah, we usually play the Broncos. We usually play the Chiefs. And at one point we were playing the Raiders regularly, but then the fight started and they cut that out quickly. But yeah, so on to the PFF stuff. We have 2 years of data here for Matt Breda. Similar snaps. He had what is that? 55 more snaps this year than he did the year before. So it's pretty similar production here. Again, take this stuff with a grain of salt, because one of these grades, I'm not going to tell you guys which one it is I don't agree with, but I'm just going to read them off. So in 2017, his overall grade was a 63.9. Last year, his overall grade was a 76.1. His pass catching grade last year, or in 2017, was a 51.0, 51 even. This past season, it was pretty good, 90.1. Really, really good, actually. So that was something that he said he was going to work on this offseason, and I'll be damned if he didn't do it. This kid really stepped his game up, and he came through, man. This is what hard work looks like. You go from a 51 to a 90. That is great. So that's that. His pass blocking grade, it was a 28.9 in 2017 and went up to a 49. His running grade, when he actually carried the ball, was a 71.5 in 2017. And it went down to a 67.5 in 2018. His run blocking grade in 2017 was a 59.7, and it went down to a 56.3. Nick, what are your thoughts on those grades?
The run blocking grade I'm not too worried about, because he's not really – I mean, he's a running back. He's not really going to be run blocking as much as people think he is.
He might this year with all these backs we're having, some two-back sets.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I don't know what the attempts are on that grading system, because it seems kind of low. Because who was he run blocking for this year? He was the main, you know what I mean? So I'm impressed with his pass catching, but I don't think he dropped a single ball that was thrown to him all year. I think he might have had one drop all year, but I'm not sure the exact numbers. The emphasis he put in and said, I got better this year, you could literally see that he got better. I think if he didn't have that lingering ankle or knee issue, both issues, whatever they were, he would have had a better year overall. Pass blocking, I thought he was pretty decent on. I mean, watching film and watching tapes when he was out there, he seemed pretty legit to me. Like we said, take it with a grain of salt. It's PFF. So I would really love to have one of those guys on the show and just see how they break shit down. But I know we're not big fans of them, but it would kind of be interested to see how they actually do a game breakdown of scores. So, yeah, I'm excited for Breda to come back.
I think that the overall grades are even, right? He improved overall as an offensive weapon this year. We all agree with that. His pass catching definitely improved. His pass blocking definitely improved. His run blocking, I kind of feel like that was about the same. You didn't get to see it a lot, quarterback scrambles and things like that. He wasn't really a liability, but he wasn't someone that's going to be like, oh, wow, that guy's Frank Gore. That's cool. Where I disagree is he had a 71.5 run grade last year in 2017. And then last year it goes down to a 67.5.
And he only had like 400 and some odd yards the year before, right?
I don't even remember how many yards he had, but like yards aside, like he was so much more effective with the ball in his hands this year. You know what I mean? Like,
I think he still led the league with 20+ yard runs, even after his injury. Yeah. So that I don't understand that either.
Yeah, it just feels weird to me. That's all. It's not, and it's not a big difference either. It's not like they gave him a big dip in production. He ran the ball for 814 yards this past season. Damn, I didn't realize he had that many yards. 814.
Yeah, he would have been 1,000-yard running back if he didn't get hurt.
And 471 the year before. So it's not. All right.
What were the carry differences?
He carried the ball. What is this? What does this mean? Oh, here we go. He carried the ball 104 times in 2017, 104. And in 2018, he carried the ball. Let me scroll down.
I bet you it's like 210 or something.
153.
Yeah.
So 5.3 yards per attempt to 4.7. This year was 5.3. Last year was 4.7. So he's a good guy, man. I like Matt Breda. He's a hard worker. Nick, do you think he's safe, man? Trades aside, a trade is a trade. We can't count that. But if he's not traded, is he making the 53-man roster?
Absolutely.
All right.
He's not a Solomon Thomas or an Eric Armstead. He's proved that he can run in this system, that he's going to – I know I just did defense versus offense, but what I'm saying is he's not a guy that really needs to prove what he's capable of. He's already shown us as fans, the coaching staff, the front office, the owners, what he can do as an undrafted guy. Now, the tricky part is he only has this year and I think an option of next year, but I'm not sure about the option. I know he has 1 full year left on his contract. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. We'll see if they extend him, where it's going to.
I don't think he has an option. I think UDFAs all get that
3-year contract, right?
Yeah, they all get that standard 3-year contract. So from my understanding, I've never heard of them giving an option to a UDFA. The one guy that who was the UDFA that they gave like a huge bonus to? It made headlines. I think it was a tight end. Was it Hicatini?
Yeah, Hicatini got a big bonus.
I think that's who it was. So yeah, but anyway, so that's Matt Breda. I'm not going to say that he's going to make this roster. I'm not. If the team decides that they're not going to keep Coleman, Breda, McKinnon, and Mostert, if the team decides that they're not going to keep 4 running backs and there's one guy that doesn't make it, I'm gonna say that it's Breda. If they keep all 4, then Breda's safe. That's the best I can do. It's not about talent either. It's about having clones of other players. It's the same thing I was saying last year. So, my opinion on that hasn't changed. But if they decide they're going to keep 4 and Juice, then yeah, I think he'll be safe. Juice is definitely going to make it because he's the only fullback. Mostert's going to make it because he's a special teams ace. So those other 3 guys are fighting to try to stay on the roster. If they determine that those other 3 guys are worth it and they want to keep all 3 of them, then boom, we're going to keep all 3. All right. Let's move on to. I mean, Matt Days is on here, so let's go to Matt Days. Your thoughts on him? Do you have any recollection of Matt Days last year at all, Nick?
I remember. No, I'm sorry. I was just trying to think back. I think I remember him taking a snap or two, and I could be wrong, but I just remember the name Days, and it's Dayes, I believe. But I don't really have any anything to say about him because the fact that we saw Breda, we saw Mostert, we didn't see McKinnon. We saw Days a little bit. We saw Jeff Wilson Jr. When Days was here. I think Days came from Cleveland? I think he came from Cleveland. So he didn't really get any snaps, I think, until he was like a fourth or fifth running back on the option. With the signing of Tevin Coleman now, I think he loses his roster spot now. I think he is more or less a body now for training camp. And once we get into that, like I said, with the addition of Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon coming back, Breda coming back, there's 3 guys right there. Then you get Mostert coming back. That's 4. Matt Days, his number is probably outnumbered, I guess you could say. And he'll probably be a practice squad guy, which I think he's eligible for because he came from Cleveland and he wasn't he hasn't played in so many certain games. So, yeah, I think Matt Days is probably outnumbered.
Matt Days' days are numbered. I see what you're doing there, Nick. All right, so let's see what his overall grades are here because this guy he does special teams also. He's a return guy. He has a couple of returns under his belt. So his return grades in Cleveland, where he did 18 returns, was an overall of 70.7, which isn't bad. That was for punt returns. Kick return grade was a 69.7. Here in San Francisco, he only did 1 return, and he got a grade of 59.9 on it. So maybe that's where we recognize his name from because his overall stats, that's going to be something completely different here. So let's go to Snap's offensive grades here. So he was active with us for what looks like 1, 2, 3 games. When do we acquire him? This is weird because it's saying here that he only took 3 snaps with the 49ers.
Yeah, I only remember 1 or 2. I think it
was against the Rams, right? It was just the Rams game?
Yeah, I think it was late. I think we picked him up like week 10, 11 maybe.
Yeah, because it might have been even later than that. It says here that he was active in 3 games this year. Week 10 against the Giants, but we didn't play the Giants in week 10, I don't think. I think we played the Raiders in week 10. And then it says week 13 against Seattle. So maybe that was us. Can you pull up our schedule over there and let me know? But then it says week 17 against the Rams. I know for sure that was us. Now, maybe he took 1 snap in each of those games. It does say that he took 1 snap against the Rams, 1 snap against the Seahawks, and 1 snap against the Giants. Maybe all 3 of those were with us. Oh, yeah, they were. Because it says that here, it says 2018, he only took 3 snaps. So, yes, that is absolutely with us. Okay, so he was with us the whole time. It's just a matter of when we made him active. So, I don't know. Maybe we got him in week 10 and, we use him then. 2017 with Cleveland, he had 41 total snaps. And like I said, the returns and things like that. Listen, I won't waste a lot of time with this young man. 24 years old, 5'9", 205. He was drafted by the Browns in 2017, the 7th round, and I don't think he's going to make the roster. Looking at his snaps and his games active, though, it is very possible that he's practice squad eligible. So, yes, he is practice squad eligible. But I'm not sure he's even going to make our practice squad because there's another running back that I want to get to. So we'll move on. Don't worry about looking up who we played and when we played them. Let's talk about our Let's talk about our other guy who I'm hoping is practice squad eligible, and Jeff Wilson Jr. This was someone that got me really excited during preseason, and I couldn't wait for him to get his time in in the backfield. It came with unfortunate circumstances, obviously with injuries and all, but he was here nonetheless. He looked good when he could hold on to the damn ball. The problem was he couldn't hold on to the ball all the time. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on Jeff Wilson Jr., man?
I like Jeff Wilson Jr. I just don't think there's any room for him on this team. I think that Jeff Wilson could be a possible trade bait too, along with Matt Days. Those two guys. I know you're not going to get much for them, but it's getting something. I think you have a better chance of getting rid of via trade Jeff Wilson Jr. than you will a Matt Days, because of his explosiveness and his ability to catch the football. It's just he cannot hold on to the football, and that was a big issue. As much as I wanted to support this guy, he's a bowling ball. And people are probably going to laugh at me when I say this, but he reminds me of Benny Snell. They're compact. They're going to run you over. It was just his issue was the most with holding on to the football. I really like him. I think he has a lot of talent. I think he has an opportunity to be in this league. Like, he has the skill set to play in this league. It's just a matter of getting the fumbles taken care of and finding a team to do it on. And it's not because I don't think that he has the talent to play here. It's just I think the talent overrides him in what we have now in a Tevin Coleman, a McKinnon, and a Breda. Even a Mostert, because Mostert brings that special teams ace player type thing, and he can run in this system. So it's not his talent level that I don't think he's here for. It's mainly the talent level above him, as into there's nowhere for him to break through.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. You know, one little caveat to what you were talking about, his game. I think he's one of our best pass blockers too. I don't remember him getting beat by someone to me like, "Oh, what are you doing? Come on, man! Come on, man!" Like, I actually remember cheering a couple of times watching him as a pass protector. So I like him a lot. Let me get his grades and stuff pulled up here. And while I'm talking about that, while I'm pulling up his grades, let me talk about him overall and what I thought. Like I said, preseason really excited me, but I remember him coming in and getting some carries, and I was just like, look at him. He's explosive. Like, he ran hard, and he ran with purpose, like determination. He didn't mind making contact with people. He wasn't shying away from anybody. And when he was in there, he felt like one of our bigger backs. I don't know if he's our bigger backs. I know he's really young, 23 years old, but he felt like one of our bigger, more powerful backs, like Nick was saying. And so it could be the size. Here it is. He's pulled up here. He's 6 feet. Is he our tallest back? We got 5'9", Matt Days. Nope. Tevin Coleman 6'1". Matt Breda's 5'10". Jerick McKinnon's 5'9". Mostert's 5'10". Yeah. He was our second. He was our biggest back last year. Now that Coleman's here, he's the second biggest. But yeah, you kind of felt
his weight, like 190, 195,
194.
194.
Yeah. I mean, like he felt like the bigger guy. I mean, and that's kind of slim for his height, but it didn't look like it though. Like, it was just it was his physicality, you know. And I just love seeing him out here. Let's see what PFF has to say about him. His overall grade last year for PFF was a 55.3. His pass catching grade was a 56.4. His pass blocking grade was a 83.9. So that's really good. His running grade when he got the ball in his hands was a 55.4. And again, when you factor in those fumbles, man, and those penalties, they really, really knock you. They really knock you. He finished the year with a penalty. He only had one penalty, but he had a couple of fumbles. And his run blocking grade was a 60. So, I mean, when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he knows what he's doing. It's just keeping the ball in his hands once he gets it. I don't think he's going to make the team, although I would love to see him do it. I am hoping that this is someone that we can stash on the practice squad. I don't want to see him traded away. I would like to see us keep him and hold him here for a little bit, because with Tevin Coleman, wow. With Tevin Coleman's
Get Paris Campbell's name out of your head. That's what it is.
With his 1 year deal, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So let's keep this guy around just in case we're looking for another back next year. That's the way I see it. So I would like to have him on the practice squad. I don't think he makes a 53-man roster, though. All right. Let's keep this train moving here. Next up, Nick, you can choose. You want to go into Tevin Coleman, or do you want to go into Raheem Mostert or Jerick McKinnon?
Let's do McKinnon first. That'll be a quick, easy one.
Boo. No, I'm kidding. I mean, there's nothing to talk about him from last year. We don't know if he's going to be a fit in the system still. And my biggest issue with McKinnon was the contract that we gave him and the fact that he was never a starter. And I can tell you guys from so much of watching, just listen, the Vikings were desperate for running backs, man. They were so desperate. He could never become a starter there. I'm still a little bit weary about it. So what were your thoughts on McKinnon?
When we first got him, I was excited because I thought he would fit right in this system. I'm still excited to see what he can do. I know now that McKinnon definitely strives better in pass catching ability than he does running. But everybody said that Matt Breda couldn't run between tackles either. We needed this guy. We needed that guy. We needed this guy. We needed that guy. And we needed everybody but Matt Breda. Matt Breda came out and proved all of us, pretty much everyone in the 49ers organization and us as fans, wrong. I always thought that Breda could run between tackles because he showed it with Carlos Hyde, replacing Carlos Hyde in certain situations. But I would say 75% of our fan base was like, no, 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 no. We're screwed. We're this, we're that. Why can't it be like that with McKinnon? McKinnon comes in here and just shows out. He was behind a couple good backs there in Minnesota. It's not like, yeah, he was. He was definitely behind a couple good backs in there, and then they drafted a back and who ended up taking over. But I don't know, man. I'm still interested to see what he brings to this team, and if he doesn't, we have an out in his contract. We can also trade, or we have backup plans now, as in Tevin Coleman or Matt Breda. We know what Breda brings. We all know what Tevin Coleman brings in a Kyle Shanahan system. So, yeah, we'll see.
You know I can't let you slide with that. He was behind good backs in Minnesota, man. In 2017, they had Dalvin Cook, and then it was Jerick. But didn't Dalvin Cook get injured that year? And then they leaned on not Jerick, who was supposed to be their backup, but Latavius Murray. Like that, come on, man. And then in 2016, according to the depth chart, let me see here. Hold on. Here we go. Vikings depth chart. Because I remember looking this stuff up, and it wasn't good. I couldn't figure out why he couldn't crack the top. At one point, he was behind like Bishop Sankey or something like that. Matt Asiata, C.J. Ham, Adrian Peterson, but that was in 2016. That was the end of Adrian Peterson's thing. And then in 2015, he was behind.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Asiata came in when the whole whatchamacallit did, and he was a hell of a running back that year.
Yeah, but that's my point, though. And where's Asiata now? Like these guys that took his job that the Vikings chose to feed instead of him are all gone now.
Yeah, but like you just said the other night on our quarterback talk, you feed the hot hand. Matt Asiata in Minnesota was the hot hand that year.
Yeah, but
where they left him there?
My point is McKinnon didn't do anything to become the hot hand. Make the most of your carries and take the job. He never did it. He never did it. With all the injuries he had there, Asiata, DeJuan Harris, Dominic Williams, he was behind all these guys in 2015 also. Like he's just these aren't guys
been in the league for 5 years already.
Yeah, this is going to be his 6th year. He was with them for 4, with us last year. So now we're going with 6, even though he didn't play last year, but it still counts. But But yeah, this is going to be a 6th year. He's still young, though. He's only 26 years old. He'll be 27 by the time the season starts, if I'm not mistaken, or he'll be turning 27 very soon. So he's not like some old guy, but I mean, it was just a baffling move. And I'm not saying that the guy can't do it. It was just odd to me to see the contract knowing that he couldn't get the number 1 spot in those places. Now, his grades, I don't know if they just decided to go after free agents and look at their PFF grades or what, but his 2017 grades were pretty good, according to PFF. His overall grade was a 79.6. His pass catching ability was 83.6. His pass blocking grade was a 79.5. His running grade with the ball in his hands was 73.9, and his run blocking grade was 80.5. The guy can block his ass off, he can catch his ass off, and he's a pretty good runner. But why not crack the top? That was last year. That was his last year with Minnesota in 2017. If you look at everything before that, his overall grades just alone 59.4, 73.9, 68.4, very inconsistent. His pass catching grade in 2016 going down to 2014 even. I didn't even go back to 2014. I stopped at 15. But 2014, 64.1, and then 2015 it went up 82.1, and then it went back down in 2016, 67.7. His pass blocking grades are all fluctuated: 79.5, 79.1, 67, 62.7, 41.3. He's just all over the place, man. And he's not consistent. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and I would love to form my own opinion on him. I'll be lying if I told you guys that I sat back and once we signed him, I looked at a bunch of film and everything, because when you look at highlights, they're highlights. He looks good in everything, but he was catching the ball in space and just taking off for a bunch of yards. I also noticed that he went down a lot of times with first contact. I didn't see him breaking a lot of tackles. For someone who can get past guys, it seems like he relied a lot on that. I never saw him breaking a lot of tackles, so I'm just not sure. I think personally I would prefer Breda over McKinnon. Do I think he's going to make the roster? Yes. That salary and what we've already paid him due to that injury means he is guaranteed to be here next year. So what are your thoughts on it? Is he going to make the roster?
If he's not traded away, he's making the roster.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way I see him not making the roster is if they pull a trade, which John Lynch already came out and said that Jerick McKinnon is by far in the plans. I know you can only read that into that as much as you possibly want to. But it has been speculated that Jerick McKinnon is going to fit into this offense with Tevin Coleman and Matt Breda here. So the only way I see that, if somebody comes up on draft day and says, hey, we'll give you, whatever. Nothing is imminent. It's a business, and anybody on the team can be traded. As much as you say that he can't, he can be. But I think that's the only way he's not on the 49ers roster as of the 53.
Yeah, that means he's safe. No one's going to trade for him with that injury that he's coming off of. Not that he doesn't have value. I feel like if he was healthy, if he showed something, then it will be a little different. I think that the season is going to end up starting with Tevin Coleman and Breda as running backs 1 and 2, maybe even 1 and 1A or 1 and 1B. You know what I mean? 1A and 1B. And with him having to work his way back into it, I don't see them giving a full load to McKinnon right away. So, and that's what's going to give other teams pause. Even if they were interested in him at some point, I don't see them going out there and trying to get this guy, knowing that he's got this injury lingering and they don't know about his recovery. Any kind of trade is always going to be, it's going to be finalized by the pending physical, but our team could also be like, look, what do you expect him to do in a physical if he's coming off of an injury? You got to be patient. So they have ways of watching that up. So I wouldn't even count on that. So that's that. I do think he's going to be here. Nick thinks he's going to be here also, unless he's traded. He's going to be here on the 53-man roster. All right. What's left here? What other running backs do we have left? We talked about Juice already. We talked about Breda. Let's get to the guy, man. Let's get to the guy. The guy that I'm excited to see here with the 49ers, and that is not Tevin Coleman. It's going to be Mostert. It's going to be Mostert. Mostert really excites me, man. Huh?
I said I knew you were going to say that.
we'll save Tevin Coleman for last. He's going to be exciting to talk about also. But Raheem Mostert, man, this guy, oh my God, 49er fans, Breda was doing his thing, and he came in and he made Breda, his yards per carry, look like they were child's play. Like at one point, he was averaging, like over the course of 2 or 3 games, like 8 yards a carry. It was nuts. Now, he didn't get all the carries that Breda got, but when he got the ball in his hands, he was effective, he was fast, and he was breaking tackles. He ran with purpose. And then all gets shattered. No pun intended. His forearm and arm got broken, and he was done for the rest of the season. He's a special teams ace. I am really, really happy that the Niners are bringing this guy back. What did he get, the 3-year deal? Or did he do the tender? No, I can't remember.
3-year. He signed a tender, and then they agreed to a 3-year deal.
All right. So that's what I like to see. Lock down your guys. And then what I liked about his contract, you're right, he did get the 3-year deal. What I liked about his contract was that he has what are they called? Not elevators, like incentives almost.
He has an incentive for rushing.
Exactly. Yeah. If they call upon him to carry the load, he's got incentives in there. So he's inclined to, I'm going to be ready for anything and everything. That's a weapon all by itself. You can't game plan for a dude that you know is going to make the roster. You have no idea if he's ever even going to carry the ball. That is insane, man. I love it. He's
going to get 5 carries maybe.
All season?
He's not going to be in the backfield.
All season, you think he's only going to get 5 carries?
All season.
Then he'll have 50 yards.
Unless an injury happens to one of the other guys, he's not getting – he's probably going to get, for the entire season, maybe 12 carries as a running back.
I'm not going to disagree with you. He might not get any at all. Between Coleman, Breda, McKinnon, like what does he needed to carry the ball for? He shouldn't be needed to carry the ball. But if McKinnon and Breda get injured, guess who's coming to save the day? Your cavalry is here. He's coming in on that big black stallion, and he's ready to kick some ass, man. I like it. What were your thoughts on him, man? You saw him last year. Tell the truth. What were your thoughts on that guy?
I mean, I like Mostert. I mean, our special teams definitely took a hit when Mostert went down last year and this year. You could definitely tell the difference. But I don't think he's holding that standard to 8.7, 8.8 yards per carry. He's the same build. He's pretty much – he might be a little more heavy, a little heavier than Matt Breda. I don't get the whole Mostert love. I mean, yes, he's been on this team. He's been on this team for what, 3 years now? 3 years, I think. It might only be, yeah, it's 3. It has to be 3. But just like you said earlier about McKinnon, he couldn't beat out any backs that we had. So I can't get excited for him to be a running back. If McKinnon starts off on the PUP list, I see him active on game days as a running back and special teams. But if McKinnon starts off the season not on the PUP list, he's not going to be he's going to be active as a special teams guy. Which I don't think he gets any carries. If McKinnon goes down or Breda goes down and he has to get some carries, am I scared of that? No, I think he'll fill in fine. But do I want to see him starting or taking over as somebody else? No. Now, here's the situation where I'm a little aggravated because, yes, he's a special teams ace, but do you take up that other position or sit one of your other running backs just for him to play special teams? I'm not doing that because if you have to keep you could so take it away from somewhere else and put people in the game that are going to play in that running back position compared to just a special teams guy. I like Mostert, don't get me wrong. I think he could fill in great, but I just don't see – oh, man. I think they're going to keep him on this team because of the special teams, but I just don't like that move, like just for special teams.
Well, like you said, our special teams took a huge hit in his absence, and like it or not, special teams is 1/3 of the game. There's offense, there's defense, and there's special teams, and it's really, really important. It is. It's really important. And you know what I would like to see the Niners do? Because you let me know what you think on this, right? What about giving him a shot and letting him work this offseason as a return guy also. We know he's got the speed. We've seen it. We've seen the speed with our own eyes. I don't want Breda back there doing it anymore, right? I want to reserve Breda for carrying the rock more. We know that he can. He's a good gunner on the punt team. We know that he's really good on the kick coverage team also. Why not give him a shot at returning the ball? We don't want Pettis back there doing it. Richie James, he lost his position, right? He lost the job. He had it for a couple of weeks, and then he surrendered it, week 14 or 15 towards the end of the year?
Well, he lost it once Trent Taylor came back.
No, even when Taylor was back, he was still the guy, and then he muffed 2 games in a row. He muffed it, and they were like, all right, forget it. Taylor's back. We're putting Taylor back at punt returns. And so, but that's my point. You don't want Trent Taylor doing it either. The guy's coming off of a back injury still. So why not let him? Let's see what he can do. I would like to see them get the ball in his hands a couple of times just to see.
But then you're taking. But that's the thing. If you bring him in to take punt returns or kick returns or anything like that, you're taking that position away from another guy on the field, as in a Richie James, or I don't want to say Dante Pettis because Dante Pettis is going to be receiver, but it's one less thing Dante Pettis has to do. So,
isn't that a good thing?
No, it is a good thing, but I'm not replacing. You're still replacing somebody for a special teams guy. Special teams.
No. So this is what my logic was. Now, because we both agree for the most part, right, that we're going to keep 4 running backs plus Juice, right? But without a trade happening, it's going to be 4 running backs and Juice, right? So if a guy like Richie James Jr. doesn't earn his wide receiver position, but he's a kick returner, and Mostert can do it, then we can cut Richie James. Doesn't that make more sense?
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense, but you're still only keeping one guy for special teams. Whether it's a Richie James,
you'll have your backups. You'll have your Trent Taylor's not going anywhere as a backup. Dante Pettis isn't going anywhere as a backup. So I mean, you'll still have options for your return guys. But the guy, I'm saying we should kick the tires on Raheem Mostert. I think it's a win-win. He's going to be active, like you said, right? He's going to be active just for his gunning abilities on punt returns and the kick coverage units. He's going to be active. Why not get more out of him? We're giving him this money. Let's try to get more out of him and see if he can surprise us somehow. And then he's preserving the health of other players like the Richie James or Dante Pettis or Trent Taylor, so they don't have to do the returns, or even Matt Breda. Matt Breda was back there also. Now none of those guys are doing the returns, and we're getting more from the special teams ace that we just gave the 3-year extension to. I think it's a win-win for everybody. So I think it would be a waste of his talent, his speed, his athleticism to just have him as a gunner. That's all I'm saying. I would never say this with a guy like C.J. Spillman. You remember C.J. Spillman from the Tony Montana squad, or Colin Jones, who was a linebacker that was a really good gunner that we had also. The Panthers have him now. And there was another there was another linebacker that was a really good gunner in our special teams unit. Anyway, I would never ask.
I can't remember the guy's name that was brought back 3 or 4 times. It'll come to me.
I can't remember. But either way, I would never ask one of those guys to do it. But we've seen Mostert with the ball in his hands and how electric he is. Let's give him another shot. And if he's not good at it, he's not good at it. We got nothing to lose. But I would love to see him back there in preseason. I would love to see him doing a couple of returns in preseason. Oh, shit, he's going to do it. Let's go. But, yeah, he's going to make the roster. The contract says so. It's injury guaranteed. He's excited about it. His agent was a little apprehensive about signing the tender. And then they went back and forth. They signed the tender, and then boom, it got them the deal. So that's a good thing. And speaking of not signing tenders and tags, your guy Robbie Gould still hasn't signed that paperwork yet. Are you concerned about that?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that another time. We'll talk about that another time.
West Coast, Zach Hornberger. Shout out to those guys. I just looked at the chat. They said Kasim Osgood. That's the guy who I was thinking about. Mm-hmm. He was a good special teams guy too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would never ask him to be a return guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We've seen Mostert with the ball in his hands, and I'm saying, yo, take a damn chance, man. See what the dude can do. I love him with the ball in his hands. He's fun to watch, and he's a fiery guy too. We don't have a lot of those guys that make a good play and first down, let's go. We got George Kittle with his little blink, but I mean, you know, what else do we have? I want to see some fire coming from these guys. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that, bro. That's not what I want to see.
If you want to see that, there's another show to watch.
I hate you. All right, let's go ahead. So we got him making the roster. We're gonna move on to the last guy here on the roster right now as it stands, and that's gonna be Tevin Coleman. The 49ers acquired this free agent guy. They give him a 1-year deal, but what is it, like 1 year, $3 million or something like that? It's not even a lot of money.
No, it's a 2-year deal.
I thought it was a 1-year deal for $3 million. Is it 2 years?
2 years. It's 2 years, $8.5 million.
Oh shit! It's better than what I thought. All right, but yeah, let me ask you this question now: 2 years, $8.5 million. Let's just call it $4 million a year, right? Honest answer: do you think he could have got more somewhere else?
Yes.
Do you think he took a discount to play here?
Yes.
Do you think that he took that discount because they told him you were gonna get the ball?
No.
Why do you take a discount instead of going to get your money?
All right, so Tevin Coleman had his best years under Kyle Shanahan. He even said that he still reached out to Kyle Shanahan when he was no longer with the Atlanta organization.
But Shanahan didn't answer because that's illegal.
What's that?
But Shanahan didn't answer because that's illegal. Don't get my coach in trouble.
Yeah, so he didn't answer because it was illegal. But he stated how much respect that he had for Kyle Shanahan in what he has taught him. To up his game in the NFL. Sometimes players, I think that there was offers there. They might not have been as high as everybody thought he was going to get. Everybody thought he was going to get at least $7.5 million a year. There could have been offers, you know, let's just say 2 years, $7 million. Let's just say or a 1-year deal, right? If you look at his history with Atlanta, it was always a 1-2 back system. He was never really the go-to guy unless Devontae Freeman went down. You could say the same thing with him as you can with Jerick McKinnon. He never took that step before and got ahead of Devontae Freeman. He came in situational downs. He came in as a pass catcher, lining up as a receiver, or taking the ball on wheel routes or handoffs. So he's never really, I don't know what his highest amount of yards was rushing. I think maybe 800. If I'm even close to that, it might have been 6 something. But when you have that much respect for a coach and you know that he's one of the greatest offensive scheming coaches in the NFL, and you've already seen that working under him. I don't think if Coleman never worked with Kyle Shanahan, I don't think he ever would have came here for that fact. So, go
ahead. I thought you were
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I got a stats here pulled up, and you said that so his best year was last year, this past season, 800 yards, 167 attempts, almost 5 yards a carry, 4.8 yards a carry, with 167 attempts. That's good. That's really good, man.
Anything over 4.2 yards a carry is really good.
And he's averaged that his entire career. Over the course of his career, he averages 4.7 yards a carry. 4.5 in 2015, 4.4 in 2016, which, by the way, was his best year. Because, well, I'll get to that. And then he also had 4.0 in 2017 and 4.8 last year. Last year was his best year running the ball. Kyle Shanahan, 2016, it was his best fantasy football year, and that's why a lot of people think that he had his best year with Kyle Shanahan. He didn't, though. He didn't have his best year with Kyle Shanahan. He had 8 touchdowns that year and 31 receptions. So in fantasy football, he was a stud. He was someone that people wanted to get because he was getting a touchdown every other game. You know what I mean? You can count on those 3 points just from that. However, you look at last year, 32 receptions, 800 yards on 167 attempts, but he only had the 4 touchdowns. He was a monster. You know, if you're a running back and you're thinking about pay dirt versus when can I get the ball? You know, you think about what's this guy's name that was on the Patriots and the Eagles, the running back, LeGarrette Blount. He became like the goal line guy or the 3rd and 2 guy. Those guys they know I have a limited role here. I'm not having a great year. I'm good at what I do. I'm not having a great year. We saw that happen with Steven Jackson at the end of his career. It's just not something that these running backs want to do. I think that he would say he had his best year last year, and I think that he thinks that he's capable of doing more. Now, if you look at PFF will tell you something different. Hands down, he had his best year with Kyle Shanahan in 2016. Okay. 2015, his overall grade was 41.1. Kyle Shanahan comes and boom, here he is, 74.6. Now, Shanahan was there the year before. The difference was that he was a rookie then, so he didn't do a whole lot. So it's not like, you know, he had a ton of carries or anything like that. 41.1, and then Kyle Shanahan gets used to him, 74.6. Kyle Shanahan leaves, and you start to see the slow decline overall, 70.1, and then last year was a 66 even. And if you look at his numbers last year, he was just an average back, like a smooth, like that 66 is pretty good. All right, so his run blocking grade was a 59. His run grade when he got the ball in his hand was 67.1. His pass blocking grade was a 61.1. His pass grade, like when he caught the ball, was a 60.6. That gives you the 66 grade. It was a lot. Everything was in the 60s except that 59, which is right there on the line. He was just average last year with Kyle Shanahan. But here's what I do like. He's not often penalized. One penalty his entire career. One penalty. And you get him back with Kyle Shanahan, this guy can be special. Kyle Shanahan knows that he knows the system. He's worked with Bobby Turner. This is somebody that is going to make Matt Breda have to step his game up. Jerick McKinnon, you think you're going to get that contract and all that stuff? You got to step it up now. This is a great signing for the 49ers. And I've got nothing bad to say about it. I'm looking forward to seeing Tevin Coleman come in here and be effective. You know what I mean?
I think we were all as surprised as Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were, because they even said we did not expect to be able to sign Tevin Coleman. And he fell into our laps that he was there. They had no plans on going out and signing a running back. Therefore, it did happen, and they were awarded him. And this is how much faith you should have in your front office. It wasn't a position of need we thought we were going to go after. It wasn't a position of need that you figured the 49ers were going to sign a running back in free agency. I don't think any of us, if any of us would have told you that the Niners were going to sign a free agent running back, I think myself or anybody else would have told you, nah, that there's no way. But there were talks about the Le'Veon Bell. Now, Le'Veon Bell wouldn't make much sense to me because you're not going to pay a guy that much money to come in and be a 3-back guy or 2-back guy, whatever you want to call it. But this is where you should have faith in Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, because they've always said, we are never going to stop trying to make our team better. If the opportunity presents itself, we're going to attack it. So this tells me that they are attacking that, because it's a position. It wasn't a position of need, but the position got better. So you guys all calling for John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan's heads already. This is a perfect example of showing you that this front office is really doing their work to make this team better, no matter what the opportunity or whatever it is. You've heard all the OBJ talk. You heard all the Antonio Brown talking. You're all mad at him for not pulling the trigger. But in the end, the smarter business person won. And that is Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and Jed York and this front office, because you didn't give away that number 2 overall pick. You still have opportunities to better your team early in the draft to get OBJ. You didn't go out and spend a ton of money, guaranteed money, what's going to hurt you not only this year but next year in re-signing DeForest Buckner or upping his contract. You got a Tevin Coleman and still upgraded your team. Even though it wasn't a position of need that we all thought, it's still, this guy acts as a receiver and a running back. Same with, yeah, go ahead.
When you talk about a position of need, listen, it's one thing to say, okay, we have a really good guy here, we don't need another good guy. I really like doubling up and making teams sweat. You know, like if the Niners were to go Quinnen Williams in the draft, don't get me wrong, I don't think that's what they're going to do. But if the Niners were to go Quinnen Williams in the draft, I have no problem with Quinnen Williams and Buckner being next to each other, and we destroy the middle of your offensive line every time. Quarterbacks are worse under pressure when pressure comes right up the middle. That's a fact. That's not, pressures do pressure things. They make quarterbacks uneasy. But pressure straight up the middle, that is a monster. Take a strength and double down on that strength. Right now, with McKinnon and Breda coming here, I am super confident in our running back court, right? But you add someone who knows the system and can catch the ball well, like a Coleman, all of a sudden, like Nick was talking about during our debate, like look at all these backs that we're going to have, and we can deploy it one time on the field. It's a mismatch nightmare. It literally is.
And like what I was saying before, you don't really know who running back number 1 is. You don't know who running back number 2 is. You don't know who running back number 3 is. We could start week 1 with Tevin Coleman back there as the main bell cow, and come week 2, it's Matt Breda. And Matt Breda is doing the things that in week 1, McKinnon is doing the things that out in the slot. And now week 2, McKinnon's the lead back, bell cow, and McKinnon and Breda are out in the slot or out as a receiver or whatever. You never know how to game plan. It's really smart, and these are all guys who can perform in the passing game all around the field with Kyle Shanahan.
Nick, man, I want to thank you for doing this exercise with me. Real quick, yes or no, does he make the 53-man roster?
Yes.
And I'd say absolutely yes. All right, so guys, we're not going to make this thing drag out. We're not going to belinger the moment. We want to thank you guys for checking us out here with this running back breakdown. We're going to end this video, and immediately after, we're not going to do an outfit change or anything like that. We're going to do our mock draft 1.2, where I am going to play the GM. Nick is going to be my room. Hopefully he can get the screen share and everything up so you guys can see me over here working and all that stuff. And we're going to break this all down. So you guys stay tuned for the next mock draft immediately following this video. Nick, is there anything else you want to say about our running backs and our running game right now?
Other than I'm super excited, I'm super ecstatic. If everybody can stay healthy, it's going to be a lethal weapon.
Let me ask you this question. Now, this is something that I've never asked you before. I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to talk a little bit more so you can think about it, okay? I want you to give me an overall total of yards, total scrimmage yards from our running backs as a collective. That's going to be hard to do. So you got to factor in running, you got to factor in catching, and all of the backs combined. And I'm going to even look up really quick. Let me see if I can tell you what the 49ers running backs stats were just last year, because it's going to be something that's really, really hard to tell. Running back stats 2018. All right, here we go. San Francisco 49ers, ESPN, breakdown by positions. All right, running backs total. Okay, that was 1,800 and rushing. Oh, no, 1,900 and rushing. Where's receiving? Oh, they don't give you the receiving, these sons of bitches. All right, Nick, you got your calculator app over there? All right, I'm gonna tell you the receiving totals for our running backs, and then you just let me know. You add that up, okay? So give me a thumbs up when you're ready. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up here for our running backs. We're gonna include Juice in this as well.
All right, give me 1 second.
All right, no problem, no problem. I gotta take out some guys because we also have some quarterbacks with rushing yards, so it's not quite 1,900 yards. Although it might be more than 1,900 yards because Nick Mullins has a negative 16 rushing yards last year. That's pretty bad.
All right, go ahead and give me what were the numbers for? Because when I opened
this is gonna be scrimmage yards, so receiving and catching. So I'm just gonna tell you numbers, add all of this up, okay?
Oh, okay. You didn't want me to guess?
Well, I want you to guess afterwards, but I want you to see what we're coming from, so you have a platform, okay?
All right, sounds
all
good.
Right. So put in 814, 428, 266, 261, 30. Okay. Now we're going to go to receiving. Do 324, 261, 98, 73, and 25. Grand total.
2,580.
2,500 yards, almost 26. 2,580 yards is what all of our running backs accounted for last year of our entire shindig. How many total yards do you think our running back corps was capable of this year?
I have more than that in rushing yards.
Are you what?
Yep.
You're nuts, bro.
I think we're going to have at least 1,000 yard runner this year. And then I'm going to go 600 and 850.
All right. So what is that? 1,600?
That's 2,650.
Oh, my God. And you haven't even got to receiving yet. These guys are all more dangerous in space.
I definitely haven't gotten to receiving yet.
You are crazy. All right. Nick is nuts. I shouldn't even let you finish this exercise. I want to see what people in the room are saying while you're figuring out your numbers here, because that is crazy. What was the total for last year for the scrimmage yards for our running backs?
2,850.
I'm just gonna say 36.
Or I'm sorry, 2,000. Hold on. 2,580.
2,000. All right, no, I won't say 3,600. That's a lot. That's a lot more yards. I think with a healthy group, I'm gonna put my number at 3,120. 3,120. I can't wait to see what your number is, though, man. Someone says 3,500. That's Mark Espinoza. Holy smokes, man. Coleman will go in the slot. I see you, Grandin. I see you. 1,500 total rushing yards, 500 each. So this is Yusuf saying that they're only going to get 500 each, man. Nick thinks we're only going to
get one. I only did 3. I didn't calculate Juice in the running yards.
Mm-hmm. Well, Juice is only going to account for like 20 to 30 yards. So he doesn't run the ball a lot. He's a catcher. He'll catch 300 plus yards.
All right, so let's see. $4,200 scrimmage yards between all four. That's 300 yards. I gave the lowest 300 yards to you, Juice. 350, 450, and 500. That is 1,550 in receiving yards between 4 guys.
Holy shit! Okay, and you know that doesn't bode well for the rest of our offensive talent, like the like Kittle, like Pettis, like Goodwin. Those guys aren't getting 1,000-yard years if we're doing that. No one's putting up 8,000 offensive yards a year because your quarterback.
What was the highest this year? Let's just look it up for shits and giggles real quick.
All right, highest offense this year.
So David Edmondson says 1,500 receiving, 2,400 rushing, 3,900 yards.
NFL total in stats. All right, yards was Kansas City. They finished the year with 6,800 yards, 6,810.
Yeah, so we can still do it. That's only 4,200 yards that I said.
You said 42 total yard, 4,200 yards?
4,200 total yards.
That means our quarterback is only passing for 2,000 yards. That's not good. If Jimmy Garoppolo comes in here and don't break 3,000, 4,000 yards.
No, but we're talking about between running backs. So you can still get.
Okay.
Your receiver, you could still have.
Yeah. No, you're right.
A 800-yard receiver, a 500-yard receiver, and a 1,000-yard receiver. So that gives you 13. That gives you another 1,800 yards.
So we setting records this year, Nick?
That's 0-0. That's 6,000. That's 6,000 yards from scrimmage.
This dude is getting me hyped. I got to go get Kyle Shanahan some weapons on the offense now. Let's do this draft, baby. Let's get up out of here. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always remain faithful.
We out of here.
Peace.